everyone, it's Emily with Hearty. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm making a green bean soup. It's the end of our garden season and we've been working our way and pulling out all of the dead plants and just sort of getting everything winterized and ready for the winter. One of our kids' most favorite things to do is to pick the beans, especially the little ones. We'll pull the entire bean bush out of the garden and set it on the lawn and they'll just pick and pick and pick and pick. We've got a lot of green beans and I thought it would be a good day to make green bean soup. It's cooler here. The temperatures are maybe in the upper 60s and it's just a nice time to make soup. And I thought we'd use our fresh green beans here and incorporate them into one of our most favorite recipes. This is a recipe that my grandpa loved. This is the first year I'm not able to make this recipe for him. And it was just a really good way to use a lot of vegetables from the garden, especially the green beans that are present at this time of the season. So we're gonna get started. I've got 2 cups of cut up green beans going into my stock pot there. I'm gonna roughly chop up 3 carrots. Now I find that making soups, especially around here, is a really nice way to get our kids, and especially my husband, who doesn't necessarily love vegetables, to eat vegetables. One of the tricks that I've learned when making dishes for my family members around here is that the finer I chop up the vegetables, the less likely they are to complain that there's vegetables in something. And it's a lot easier to scoop up on a spoon and eat when they are smaller. So once I get everything chopped up, I will then wait for everything to get softened in my stock pot and take another chopper and chop everything else up nice and fine once it's softened a bit. So I'm not worried too much about getting these pieces just tiny. I would cut my fingers off. So in goes 3 carrots. Then I've got a couple stalks of celery. I just like to use every little thing I can as far as garden produce and vegetables go when I'm making soup, because I know that the soup is going to taste good and it's hearty. It's gonna fill them up and I want to be able to get in as many vegetables as I can in one spoonful. Excuse my boiling pot over here. I've got some tomato juice just finishing up canning. Again, same with the celery, I'm not going to worry too much about getting it just itty bitty. I'm going to chop everything up real nice and fine when I get it softened a bit in my pot. And then of course my onion. I just use a small onion and chop that up. I don't personally love onions, but I've come to realize how they can add a lot of flavor in a dish, so I have succumbed to using them more often. It's like a race. Who can win, the onion or me? Ugh. Alright, so as you can see in my stock pot here, I've got my 2 cups of cut up green beans, 3 carrots, 2 stalks of celery, and 1 small onion, all ready to go. One of my very favorite things to use when I'm cooking a lot is Watkins chicken and beef soup base. This is the best product. It adds so much flavor to anything I'm making, and I just really love to use it. Sounds like my tomato juice is done. I'm going to add my chicken soup base, and I like to add a good helping of it. So I add 2 tablespoons, and I might add 3 today because I added in a little bit more green beans than I usually do. But the recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of chicken soup base. And I just stir all of my vegetables around in that. Then I'm going to head over to the stove and get this cooking. Let's crank up the heat and turn it on high. And of course, we're dairy farmers, so we're going to add a nice helping of butter. It heats up really well and it makes really good leftovers too. To this pot, I added 6 cups of water and 3 tablespoons of butter. And I'm just going to start letting that cook up, and it will combine with the chicken soup base and the salt and pepper that we're going to add, and the vegetables will get nice and soft. We're just gonna let that cook. I'm gonna set my timer for maybe 20 minutes. And then I'll come back and check on it. All right, let's see how we're doing here. Looks good. So I think our vegetables are kind of getting soft. Very hot. So I'm going to reduce the heat, let this simmer a little bit, and then we're going to come back and add our evaporated milk. A little bit of flour to help thicken it up a little bit. Okay, so everything's set to go. All of my vegetables are nice and chopped up, bite-sized pieces. I'm just going to add my evaporated milk next. Stir that in. This gives our green bean soup a really nice creamy taste. And then the last thing I like to do is just sort of add a little bit of a roux and thicken it up a bit. So what I do to make this soup thicken up a little bit is I'll put 3 tablespoons of flour into a little bowl, and then I'll just grab a little bit of the juice from here, and I'll add that to this little bowl, like that, and then I just whisk it up. This makes it really nice and thick, kind of a paste. I want to make sure I don't have any leftover flour clumps. Take that off. And then I'm just gonna use my little whisk here and whisk this paste into my soup. Add a little bit more black pepper. You could even add like a handful of sharp shredded cheddar. That would be really good in here. I'm gonna serve it just like this tonight. To go along with my green bean soup, I'm going to make something I remembered when I lived in Barcelona. My host mom would make something called a bocadillo. And a bocadillo was generally a piece of French bread, a crusty French bread, cut in half, rubbed with tomato, sprinkled with sea salt, and with a little bit of olive oil drizzled over the top. And that's it. It was so good. I have no idea why. It's literally bread, tomato, salt, and olive oil, but it's so good, and I'm going to serve that with my green bean soup tonight. So just start with an average loaf of French bread. This is so hot and crusty, and it's gonna be so good. So I'm gonna flip my pieces both sides up, and I'm gonna take my tomato, and this is the special part. And these pieces are hot, my pan is really hot, but I'm gonna do my best to show you. So what we do for a bocadillo is I'm going to rub this all over my bread. Squeeze it a little bit. I'm gonna rub it on my bread. We're gonna get this rub tomato effect on here. These are already breaking in pieces for me, which is great. And so that's what my tomato looks like when it's done. So I've rubbed my tomato on my hot bread. I'm going to add some nice sea salt. My favorite is the Celtic sea salt. I'll link it below. Okay. And then the last part is just adding a drizzle of olive oil. And that's it. It's going to be a really nice pair with my green bean soup tonight. Just something special. We love to just dunk these pieces right into the soup and have a bite. That is delicious. Let me know if you decide to try this recipe and how you liked it. Have a great week.